What's going on, good people? Good people. Here's your brother, Surrender, coming back at you, man. And this one here is a real heavy topic for me, man. Don't even like to talk about it, man. I always try to stay away from these type of discussions, especially dealing with strangers and people that you just don't know, man. You tend to try to stay away. It's two subjects that they always told us to stay away from, right? It's politics and religion. But unfortunately today, man, we gotta talk about one of them. Both of them breeds division, but we definitely want to particularly talk about religion, man. We are just a religious people, period. And not just black people, all people have some form of religion, because all people have some form of spirituality. And what has happened is that the religious gurus kind of knew that spirituality was very important to the human species. And therefore we devised a programming, a structure around our spiritual understandings. And that is where we have religion. And the one big thing about religion that I would like to express to any man, woman, boy, and girl that is listening under the sound of my voice is that religion has always been your property. It is not God's property. Man created religion. God created the spirits, or the spiritual world, or spirituality. Man created religion. Man created religion because he knew that it was a control mechanism, because it was so important to the human anatomy that anyone who controls the belief system of a person, the ultimate prize is the person himself. And there are so many different mechanisms that went behind trying to create a belief system, create a culture around a belief system, create a social standard around a belief system, create a world around the belief systems. Because these belief systems had so much to do with a man's morals, how a man lived his life, even how a man laid down his life was predicated upon his belief system. So that is why religion is a very important asset to anyone trying to control or conquer people, places, or things. They have to justify it some kind of way. And normally, the way that you can justify the actions of people is you first have to justify the belief system. And so this is where religion comes from. But I wanted to talk about religion not from a historical standpoint, or not to just go over with you where it derived from, what it was supposed to mean, or this, that, and the third. I just want to tell you what it has done. All right? What it has done to the community of humanity. It has done nothing short of just separate us in our beliefs. Separate us in how we judge a thing. Separate us in how we see a thing. Separate us in how we think on a thing. And this separation was purposeful. Because the one true commandment, or I say the one true thing that God wanted all of us to do was be connected, right? And we all are connected. But religion keeps working on those connections and keep working on those connections and keep working on those connections until you feel as though you're so different from the next person next to you in every aspect that you have no understanding from your own brothers and sisters in the same time and space. Now, to me, this is the first travesty. Because I believe in the bone of my bones, in the spirit of my spirit, soul of my soul, that we should not allow anything to break or separate us from each other. God made this big old world with no walls. He may have dig trenches and valleys. He may have had seas that separate us, but there was no wall. There was no wall. Meaning that he did not ever create anything that permanently divided us. Once we conquered the seas, we connected with people across the seas. Once we conquered the land, we connected to people across the land. But if God had built a wall, then the people on the other side, you would never probably be able to meet or greet. So God knew what he was doing in that fact. He created all of these things, but he never created a wall to divide us. So who have created the boxes or the walls? We have as mankind. We've created all these particular divisions, titles, to separate us by region, by race, by creed, by color, by gender. And we don't know how to come back from the deep-rooted division. And we are so divided that the man and the woman is having problems understanding role and responsibilities inside of their relationships, inside of their households, inside of their families. Being so divided. Every good brother or sister that spoke out in the biblical times we want to talk about, they all spoke in a harmonious, demonstrative, and they never ever allow us to think that individualism was of God. There's no religious text that I read that had an overall vision of the people being individual. Most of the religious texts that I've read all saw the people. All saw one people. You know, the Bible speaks about us being fit and joined tightly together as members of the body. Paul wrote in 1 Corinthians, 1st chapter, the 10th verse, let there be no divisions among you, but let us be together in the same mind and in the same judgment about things, right? And the church of Corinth was the first church he went to after Rome. So we see that all of the true messengers spoke of a unifying God, a one God, under one people. And I believe this one God under one people theory has been overlooked, has been undertaught. And therefore we've broken up God in many gods, many names for God, many places for God to be. And we've all taken our own personal God and put him in our pockets. And our own personal God works as our own personal genie. Pardons us from sin when we want him to. Closes his eyes to some of the other stuff that we want him to. He blesses us with stuff when we want him to. He's our own personal genie. He does what we want, when we want, how we want, why we want, because he's our own personal genie. Man has relegated God and treated God as he's treated himself, with no respect, no reverence, and no understanding. And the first understanding that man should get, the first understanding that we all should have, is that God mandated all of us to be one. That's why we have one world, one earth. All of us is on this earth, but he ain't got another one waiting in behind this one for nobody. You see what I'm saying? We're all here. We're all here. You know, one people on one earth at one time. Universe. One verse. What's verse? Word or song. One song. One voice. One people. We need to eradicate ourselves of divisional titles, divisional ideology, divisional subliminal messages that come across the radio airwaves, the TV airwaves. We need to look into ourselves deeper and ask ourselves, should we allow anything that we as people of this world created to allow us to separate ourselves from our brothers and sisters in the same time and space? Should we allow anything to separate us? For the Bible says, let nothing separate you from the love of God. But you allow religion to separate us. You say, well, what is the love of God? Being here and being loved on by God, right? Having this good prana in the air, right? Being able to find substance to eat. You're being loved on by God. Because in a twinkle of an eye, he could change the conditions of the atmosphere to no longer sustain human life. And we have no control over that. Right? So that's the love. That's the love that we're all getting, no matter what color you are, what gender you are, or what you did last night, what you're going to do tomorrow, or even what you did today. You're still receiving God's love as long as you can hear my voice. So that love is unconditional. It never fades and it never deteriorates and it never judges. Kind of like how we should be toward one another. Every human life that has ever been born on this earth has been special under the sight of God. And if you can do nothing else, you should emulate your Father which art in heaven. God has an appointed time when he will judge and when he will correct things. But until that time, who are we to judge or correct? So then the biggest lesson to learn is love. Love has no fear. Love does not fear the white man to love him. You can call the white man the devil, the enemy, whatever you want to think of him. But love will cure all of that. And you say, well, man, we done tried to love on him and we done embraced him, but, you know, it's just hard. He want to conquer everything. But the love that I'm talking about, I don't know if it's ever been truly given in our situation, because it's very hard for us to love our enemies in that particular way. We may love them enough to stay away from them, love them enough to let them do what they're going to do, but the love that I'm talking about is accepting their place in the world. There's a place in the world for those people, right? Just like there's a place in the world for you. So love being the one thing that can connect us, we need to be retaught on that subject. And another thing that can connect us is we all come from a common place. We all come from our mothers. But life itself, humans himself, come from where the first humans were, which is Africa. No matter what color you are, what race you are, we all germinated from Africa. Now, I just found two common denominators that all mankind has either experienced or actually derived from. You come out of love and out of Africa. Out of love and out of Africa. If at any time we can agree on those two things, we can get into the next level of consciousness. See, this is very simple. This is not a complex game. It is very simple. Will you help me? Or will you conquer me? Will you kill me? Right? When the early humans saw each other from a distance, it was two choices. They could either see each other as friends or enemies. When they're looking across the desert and across the brush and you're looking, who's that coming? You got two choices. Either you're going to entreat that man or you're going to battle that man. And those are the choices that we have to make every day when we see strangers alike. Do we look at the person from afar? And what I mean by afar doesn't mean that they're coming from a long way. What I mean is that they just don't look like you. They didn't come from where you come from. Do we see them as our direct competitors? Our enemies? Or do we see them as another brother, another sister that we can learn from? Or that we can teach something to? The world is the way that it is because we have allowed religion to make us so different from one another that we cannot remember nor can we regurgitate back up commonalities that have been deep-rooted in us that we know are there. There's no man or no woman, no matter what you believe in, that's void of pain and grief. So we all are still alike, even though we got so many different things that we want to say make us so different. We keep going through the same things as humans, day in and day out. We have so many people believing that they are alone in their issues and in their situations and in their achievements and accomplishments, not understanding that you have never been alone. Why we are not taking advantage of the brother and sister right next to us that are going through the same life experiences that you are? How dare you feel that you are here by yourself? How dare you have the audacity to believe that you're so special and so different from everybody else that you are the only one exclusively going through this situation. How dare you think that? How dare you think that? You need someone to understand you. You will want someone to be able to nurture and support you in whatever endeavor you are going through. So why are we so fixated on being different? Why are we so okay with being divided? There are people that will kill in the name of religion. And there are people that will cut their families and friends off in the name of religion. And I just want to say to those people that are willing to do those things, what makes you so special that you would do something that God is not even doing? What makes you so special? What makes you so different that you can go out here and take situations in your own hand behind a fictional understanding of your religion? What I'm trying to say, people, is that we cannot allow anything to go against the first thing, the first essence of us being here. We are here together. And all things work together for the good of those that love God. Not know God, not know his name, not, trying to take ownership of who he was and what people he belonged to. It's just a simple understanding that all things work together for the good of those that love God. Well, no man has seen God at any time. So then how do you show your love for God? Through showing your love for his creations. And as you can see, I ain't just say people. For his creations. That means the earth and everything that's in it. That means sometimes you got to watch what you're doing with animals. Watch what you're doing with the pollution. You got to watch all of that stuff, man. And you got to get back to being a responsible part of the ecosystem. Not the ego system, but the ecosystem, right? And we need to dead the ego system because that is what gotten us into the divided predicament that we're in today. I'm just simply saying to you that I am your brother and your sister no matter where you are, no matter what color you are, no matter what gender you are. All right? I am your brother and your sister. And I love like you love. And you love like I love. And you are being loved like I am being loved. And therefore we need not to judge. We get an equal fast share of love. And therefore it is not your right to take any of the love away from me. It's not my right to take any of the love from you. What I mean by that is it is not your right to bottle up any air, any water, and any food because it is not yours. It is an equal measurement given from God. Take your hands off of God's property. Okay? Share. Share God's stuff. You can hoard your little stuff that you invented. Share God's stuff. And this is the perspective that we got to maintain. The first religion was countrymen, right? Kinsmanship. Being from the same country. That's where people unified at. Now, religion is a divided state. And we divide people up so much that we try to, then we're going to try to, get everybody back together. How? How can you get everybody together? You've allowed people to divide themselves up in 1,000 different pieces. How can they put themselves back together again? You allow people to take on 1,000 different doctrines, 1,000 different spirits. And they're broken up into all these particular denominations and spirits and ideologies and theologies. And you think that they're going to be able to put themselves back together, more or less, all of them get back together again. Well, first of all, the message that goes out has to be a unifying message. You cannot stand in any religion and say that any one religion is a unifier. Because right now, literally half of the world is Christian and half of the world is Muslim. And then you have the small percentage of the Jews. Why? Why the division? Because that's how you're conquering us. You're dividing us and you're conquering us. Because we have not yet understood that our belief system has been attacked. It's been attacked by every walk of life that we can understand and name. The commercial people want your belief system. They want you to believe that McDonald's is the best food for you. Whole Foods is the best grocery store for you. Makeup is the best stuff for you to wear. Long hair is the best hair. You know, Jordan shoes is the best shoes. I mean, the commercials, they trying to get your belief system. The TV trying to get your belief system. The radio wants you to believe that Jay-Z is the best rapper. Beyonce is the best singer. And that V103 is the best station you can ever hear. They trying to fight for somewhere to abide in your mental, into your mental capacity, to your belief system. They want to reside somewhere. They're trying to build a house in your mind, right? The porno sites, they want you. The job, oh yeah, you know he wants you. He wants you. The job wants you because you know as long as he got you, he got a body to sit in there and produce. Right? The pastors want you. The imams want you. The rabbis want you. Because they know that with your belief system comes your body. And with your body comes all of your resources. So this is a plotted effort, man. And so that's what I'm trying to tell you. The first message of any messenger is the unification of the people. You never take on a doctrine that divides. God said, I'm not an author of confusion. If I have a brother or a sister in front of me, and if I want to make this my brother or sister, I got to love on that man or that woman. I have to break in through all of the physical and mental barriers that that person is going to put out there, right? Because they don't know me. They don't know what my agenda is or why I want to befriend them. They don't know where what you want. So most of the time we tend to allow the ones who can allow us to believe that they have a sense of caring, a sense of love for us. We'll allow them in. You know, he got love for me. She got love for me. You know what I mean? So I allowed that person in. So now we see that really the only way to get a person to entreat you is to show some type of authentic caring and love for that individual or for that individual situation or circumstances. Love being the number one thing. And then allowing that person to know that you are from the same place, whether that be Africa. It doesn't really matter about that. It's humanity, me being human. I understand what you are going through. It don't matter if you're white, Chinese, Mexican. It does not matter. I empathize with you. I know life can shoot you some rods at times.